Hi, my name's Zach Riley, and over the next few videos we're going to discuss regenerative agriculture. Regenerative agriculture is not a new concept. In fact, many people refer to it as just good old-fashioned farming. However, it's a way of farming that puts soil health at the core of farm management. In this video, we're going to discuss how to maintain a living root to ensure your soil biology is fed throughout the year. Plants and soil biology have a very close relationship, which is primarily linked through root exudates. Root exudates are a mixture of organic substances excreted by the roots and can feed the soil biology and can also send out signals to communicate with the soil. As roots provide much of the energy for the base of the soil food web, keeping a living root in the ground throughout the year is extremely important to ensure that your soil biology is well looked after. Although this is challenging in an arable system due to the annual nature of crops, it is possible and can be achieved even in Scotland. We visited one farmer who is achieving this by establishing grass into his spring barley crop.
Hello, I'm Bill Stewart from Greenfold, Bridgemarnock, Huntly. I'm basically a cattle farmer that grows spring barley. All the spring barley are fed through the cattle. I also let out land for tatties and for carrots, and the farms are either grass or spring barley. I've quite a spread between my units, and because of that, some of the fields are difficult to get dung to. So we started doing this reseeding, which basically is just putting the grass in with the seed barley in the same hopper. So there is no sowing expense with that. And I have found we get an even spread of the grass take by doing that, and it only costs approximately about £10 an acre. We sow it at 3 kilos of Italian ryegrass, and it's just mixed in with the seed, and you wouldn't know, there's no patches really. It gives us something to plough down, it gives us something to graze with sheep, and I think it adds to the fertility of the soil. I started doing some of these regenerative principles because one was greening, because it ticks the box. Two is that it adds to the fertility, and the lambs grazing it in the end of the year, whether I graze it myself or I let out the grazing, it pays for the grass seed, and I have the benefits of ground cover during the winter, and it gives me something to plough down and add to the fertility. I also have an organic unit, and I noticed the benefits of doing this with it, and I've now applied it to other parts of my farming unit. The benefits, or the biggest benefit anyway, in my opinion, is that it adds to the soil fertility. It keeps a living root in the soil throughout 12 months of the year, and then with the sheep grazing and possibly cattle, if it's dry enough, we are adding to the fertility as well doing that. And we have no problems actually with the weeds being a problem, but then you've got to make sure before you do this to the field that they're relatively clean before you do it, so that the grass can suppress the weeds that do grow. The problems that I have encountered is handling the straw. Obviously there's quite a bit of grass in it, but mostly we would bale it and wrap it and use it as roughage for cattle that are being fed in an ad lib barley ration. It gets it off and lets the grass get away. It's actually better if the crop is sown through April a bit and not too early. If you sow it too early, the grass comes way up through the crop, so sow it that wee bit later. Apart from that, maybe the main difficulty that you can have is getting it harvested, and that would be to keep the knife in your combine sharp and in good order, and then there's not a problem. The other thing is that sometimes when the weather's not in your favour, it can be a problem getting it dry enough to combine. But if you pick your days and you're not doing a huge amount to it, you easily get around that. For anyone thinking to do this, the thing is, don't be too particular about putting the grass seed in. When you're putting your seed barley into the hopper, you just have your bag of grass seed, and whatever rate that you are putting it on at per acre, you make sure that that's the amount that goes trickling in, and it spreads throughout the hopper, and you get an even catch of grass with it. You don't need to be too particular with it. The other thing I would say is don't do a huge acreage of it. Don't do your whole farm on it. Do something that you can manage to get combined when you get the appropriate days to cut it. To summarise, the main benefits are adding fertility to the soil, keeping the roots for 12 months of the year in the soil, and also, as long as this greening goes on, it ticks the boxes, and the fertility put back in by grazing by cattle, but especially by lambs at the end of the year, all adds to these fields that don't get mucked on a regular basis.